the C stands for check-in. So just having a conscious moment of like, what emotion am I currently feeling?
Today I'm here with Sam Moinet, and in this series of podcasts with CEOs and founders, I wanted to talk to him about well-being. Sam, can you tell me a bit more about your company that you founded and exactly what it is that you do?
Yeah, I'm Sam. I'm the founder of two companies, Student Breakthrough and the Educators Coaching Academy. My purpose is to revolutionize mental health and well-being in schools. And I do that from one-to-one student coaching to training teachers and transforming culture for schools across the world.
That's amazing. Well-being is really at the forefront. Actually, incidentally, my younger brother, he's a lawyer, and he sent me this well-being group that he'd formed, and it was very new. It was just coming out, and I said, "What's well-being?" Because growing up, we never had that, particularly in schools. It was, well, if there was a school council, but you were pretty much left to your own, left to yourselves, and this change in the workforce and the workplace has now impacted changes in the school as well. I think it's brilliant. But I wanted to ask you, there's so many definitions out there, and I'm hoping that this podcast is listened to not just by young people, but by educators as well, teachers who are involved in student well-being, because, teachers, our students spend a lot of the time and the day with us. They're in front of us a lot, and in essence, we're responsible for them for a large portion of the day. The parents are entrusting the school with it. So on this concept of well-being, I wanted, Sam, your definition. How would you define student well-being?
I think well-being is a word that gets chucked around, same as mental health.
Yeah.
But well-being for me encompasses, the physical, mental, spiritual, emotional needs of a person. So it's a holistic approach. It's not just like working with someone on their confidence, or like, let's say, through talking therapy. It's actually about doing as well. And in that case, well-being can be active. But for me, it's all about understanding yourself on a deeper level. And once you understand yourself on a deeper level, you find that the answers are always within. And we don't have to look for external validation, whether from teachers, grades, or assessments, or money in some ways. If our well-being is rock solid, we understand that we are enough just as we are.
That's really refreshing, because social media teaches young people that they should look for validation from external sources. You get it from a grade, you get it from all these external sources. You get it from your likes. If you posted a photograph and no one's liked it, well, where's the validation? And you can't be looking for it like that, because people's likes fluctuate. It might not, it doesn't mean that you and your sense of happiness and internal happiness should be affected by the number of likes, shares, and reposts and retweets that your photograph has got. So I think that's a really refreshing mindset. What made you come up with this idea, Sam? Because, when I was your age, and I was 21, 22, I wouldn't have thought holistically about children's well-being. I was trying to figure out my place in the world. So what made you come down this a very admirable route, really?
Part of the story is like, I never knew I'd be in this place. I always wanted to be a soldier because I was the oldest of three boys. I was a very anxious and shy kid, but I looked up to one guy, and that guy was my dad. My dad was a Royal Marine, so he fought in the Falklands War. I was a submariner in the Navy. So I got this image of like what a man should be, used the word should there very intentionally. Like, I should be this ultra masculine guy that fights for their country, that's covered in tattoos, that's got a great beard, that's physically strong. And I wasn't that as a kid. So I looked up to my dad and I was like, right, I made the decision very young that I'm going to be a soldier, join the British Army. And I achieved my dream. In 2012, I got accepted into the Royal Anglian Regiment. And I was going down this route of joining the army, being a soldier. And I felt like my life was made up at that point. That was
You're on a path. You're on a career path, and that's it.
Yeah, but again, the path was not my path. My dad never sat me down, put me on his knee and said, I need you to be a soldier.
Yeah.
That never happens. And usually it doesn't happen. We just accept these beliefs, these lies, these assumptions as truth, and it shapes our path. And my path was to get my dad's love, to get his recognition, to make my family proud. I had to do this.
Yeah, I got you.
Got accepted. Best day of my life. It was in 2012. And my dad was over the moon. I was really happy. I was super positive about the whole thing.
I watched another of your videos where you talked about this letter that came. It's a very royal, regal letter with the stamp of approval from the British royal family, and it's an official document that tells you you've been accepted.
Yeah, it was that letter, and that was the letter that changed my life. That was, that moment, and then the universe gave me a bit of a reality check very, very fast.
Course
And I got
correction.
another letter through the post. Yeah, and this was again red waxy stamp, Queen's logo on it. But I wasn't expecting this letter. I cut through this letter, this wax,
Yeah,
and there were two words that stood out in that letter. Those words were Crohn's disease,
yeah,
alongside a sentence of, unfortunately, you failed the army medical
yeah.
because of this condition,
That's rough.
collapsed onto the floor in a heap.
You then decided to forge your own path, and that's very hard because when you have, like you said, predetermined ideas and your own path which you've kind of set for yourself, then it can be hard when reality hits you. You know, I've got a lot of very ambitious students who have a medical profession right in their sights, and they're only 11, 12, 13 years old. I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do as a career when I was 11, 12, and 13. But still, some of these kids are very, very driven. I say to them, I want you to do me a favor because I won't be your teacher all the time. I want you to always give yourself a spot check. When you get a set of grades, have a sit down with yourself. This is what I've got. Do I still want to do this? And is my ambition the same? Because that's a lot of pressure you put on yourself. I'm sure you must have felt a lot of pressure when you're applying, thinking, "But this is what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to go ahead with it." And you put a lot of pressure on yourself.
We always want to control life, and obviously we want to
Yeah.
have we crave certainty, and we crave direction. Now that's all well and good, but there's three certainties right in life, which is pain,
Yeah.
uncertainty,
Yeah.
and the need for constant work. My friend said, look, speak to this guy. He's a coach. I thought coaching was for football, rugby, and cricket. This is a
Yeah.
coach for like mindset and how I felt. And this conversation was on the 23rd of April, 2015.
You still remember it?
Yeah, nearly, well, 9 years ago, nearly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Almost, yeah.
All this guy did was ask me some questions. He
Right.
listened to me. He was a heart with ears, like full empathy, and gave me some silence. And I remember like crying uncontrollably on this call as I let all this emotion out. I was learning to express and not suppress.
Express, not suppress.
Yeah. And then as a result of that, I literally, it felt like taking the sunglasses off on holiday.
Yeah.
Like everything was vibrant and multicolored. And I was walking around a park and I just felt so alive for the first time in 2 or 3 years. I remember going back into school literally the very next day and put all my energy into teaching history, being a teacher, educating people and kids. But after this awareness, awareness precedes change. So I had the awareness of like, okay, cool. This has changed my life massively just in one conversation.
Yeah.
For the majority of students, I don't see counseling as the right approach. I see more of a coaching approach. So anyway,
Interesting.
after seeing all these kids, I was like, okay, cool. Well, I can just teach history, or I can really help them with their mental health. And I became a qualified coach, created my first business called Student Breakthrough, and a coaching program called the Three Bs.
I'm gonna put these links in the description of the video so people can go to your website and see all this amazing work that you've done.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and that was the first business. It was just coaching kids one on one in Milton Keynes, where my hometown was.
That's amazing because young people need examples to follow, and they also need someone relatable, and in the absence of people like yourself, there's social media plugging out very toxic ideas of like I was saying, the Sigma male, which is just clips of Christian Bale, from American Psycho, being very, very emotionless and cold. And interestingly, someone showed Christian Bale. I met Christian Bale actually at the Dark Knight the Dark Knight premiere, and I met him. He's a very cool guy, very chill guy. He came out all the way at the cinema. He saw me with my Batman T-shirt, took a picture with me. Chill guy. So they showed him and said, "Did you know that young people have taken your picture from American Psycho and made this Sigma male idea of the ultimate male?" You know what he said? Who would do that? I mean, it's a movie. It's a movie. Why would you do that? I mean, that's completely nonsensical. It's a character. You can't base your reality, and we live in the reality. You can't base your reality on a movie character who, snippets of. He said it's nonsensical. So then people are like, "Oh, why is he not supporting it?" He's not supporting it because it's not healthy, So in the absence of people like yourself doing that, that's what young people have been turning to. You've got very toxic ideas being put out there, like hide your emotions, don't embrace, questioning what you want to do, don't show any kind of weakness. Okay, and so young people aren't really sure what to do right now, and that's why I found what your company really really inspiring, because it's young people, they're trying to find the place in an ever-changing world. When you and I were growing up, the world wasn't changing so fast. Now it's changing so fast that they don't know who to really turn to. So like how you felt before you formulated your company, they're just keeping in all this anxiety, and it can lead to outbursts, and especially it's at pinch points like exam seasons. I've seen some of the my students that are very very young, only in year 7, 8, and 9. They revise for the term exams more than I revised for my GCSE exams. They take it really, which is fantastic. But I said to them, you also do have to find a balance. Okay, when I was revising my A levels, which was my ticket to university, I had a 2 hours, 20-minute break, and you have to have that. If you don't have that balance, you will go to sleep with built up anxiety and stress, and that's not going to help you, because in an exam, your mind can go blank completely. Not because you didn't learn it, because you're anxious, because your emotions are intervening where you should be calm. You've revised, now you're ready for your exam. So I think that's really useful what you're doing, and I wanted you to share some of those. You think you shared two golden nuggets, okay? Which was, I wanted you to share some more, like points for how a student or how a young person could just check their own well-being.
Yeah, a couple of tips for this one. One I like using is an acronym of CALM, so CALM, and CALM stands for, the C stands for check-in. So just having a conscious moment of like, what emotion am I currently feeling? Because we go through moment to moment to moment in our lives without really checking that in, especially when we go and meet new people, when we go into a different environment. We might be like
Yeah.
at work, and then we go to a new state. It's like, how am I feeling right now? And checking in with that. The A on this stands for airway. I'm a trained meditation facilitator. So there's lots of different techniques, but
Wow.
box breathing is really great for me.
What's that?
So
What's box breathing?
Navy SEALs use it. So the Navy SEALs, one of the ultra special force soldiers in the world, they use this to calm their nervous system. So if it's good enough for them, I think it's good enough for us. And that's taking a breath into your nose for a count of 4, holding the breath for 4, exhaling through your mouth for a count of 4, and then holding for 4. And you repeat that
Wow.
3 times. We have 80,000 thoughts a day. So when we do this, it's like dropping an anchor off the side of a ship. It's just like
Totally.
back in the present, grounding. So we've checked in, we breathe consciously. The L stands for let go, and justifying that emotion. So if you're happy, angry, sad, tired, positive, negative, whatever the emotion is, just letting go and realizing like, I'm feeling this way because, so like I did this the other day. I was like, oh, I shouldn't be tired. I checked. I was like, I shouldn't be tired. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna accept this. Like, I can be tired
Yeah.
because I've done like loads of presentations. I've worked really hard, and it's okay. We're always chasing this ideal of we want happiness, but it doesn't happen all the time. So we let that go. And the M stands for make space/move. So making space is, what am I grateful for right now? What am I proud of? And then the move is, what action step can I take? And that's the most important thing. Whenever I work with students or teachers, we can do all the learning, all the awareness, but we've got to couple that awareness with action and then accountability. And that's how you move forward, because so many people are waiting for confidence. They're waiting for happiness, but you have to do something to get that, to build progress. You can't just wait. If you're waiting, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. It's about the doing. So yeah, feel it, but do. And the faster you can go from that to that, you're going to like quantum leap and move forward.
That's brilliant. I mean, that's really giving me some food for thought as well. Because action creates reaction, doesn't it? I mean, if there's inaction, then you can't change your mood. You can't change the way that you're thinking, or the emotion that you're feeling. And so that's really really fascinating. And you mentioned, so my next question I wanted to ask you is a lot of teachers listening on these podcasts as well. So I wanted, and teachers have very, as you know from first-hand experience, teachers have very stressful lives, and you have some days are more stressful than others, and there's a lot of talk about teacher well-being. I wanted to ask you, I wrote it down actually, which was how do you define teacher well-being? And question 2, is it an employer's role to look after the well-being of their staff? And if not, how does a teacher manage their own well-being?
Teacher well-being is the same. It involves, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and all those needs of a teacher. So it doesn't, well-being for student and teachers is the same. For me, it encompasses that all those topics. Um, and then is it the school's responsibility? I think it's school's responsibility to create a good culture
Yeah.
and create a culture where people feel supported and respected and understood. Um, but schools are, a lot of time fighting an uphill battle because the education system itself is
Yeah.
not there to foster well-being in staff.
There to
I
get
say it's the other
grades
way.
from the kids, and
It's the opposite.
lesson plans and lessons from the teachers. So yeah,
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like we do a lot of transactional stuff. So like getting me in, right, to do a well-being talk for a
Yeah.
school. It's like, okay, cool, our staff are stressed. We'll get Sam in. Okay, box tick. When we get our like
That's
inspections
fine.
done,
Yeah.
we can say that Sam's been in there. But we put all these sticking plasters in education, sticking plaster, sticking plaster, sticking plaster. And if you imagine an iceberg, like your well-being at the top, your maybe surface level behavior, if you're a teacher, could be stressed and tired and this, whatever. But you got to look beneath that, because beneath every behavior at the top, there's a feeling. Beneath every feeling, there is a need. And
Yeah.
when we deal with the need rather than the behavior, we're dealing with the cause and not the symptom. So whether you're a teacher and you're like, I'm stressed or I'm burnt out, looking beneath the surface to find the cause, it might be the education system itself. But for schools, we do a terrible job at this. And it's not just the school's fault, because we just deal with the surface level and we try and just put sticking plasters. We need to transform what's going on beneath, because teachers are not leaving the profession due to money, right?
No.
Teachers do not want to be rich. No one goes into education to make,
Nope.
a million pounds or whatever. They go into education to make a difference, and they leave typically because their well-being needs are not being met. They feel burnt out. They haven't got enough time with their kids, whatever. So my biggest thing at the moment is helping teachers reignite that passion.
how do they?
Or
How do they?
pivoting out of the classroom.
How do they reignite
How do
that
they?
passion? Yeah. What's your
Again,
what?
doing the work. Like how I reignite the passion for teachers is, again, helping them look within. If you can better understand yourself, you have boost your self image, your self esteem, and that'll then obviously impact your life. If you can help a teacher show up better in their personal life, they're going to show up better in their professional life. So for me, it's helping teachers, scratch beneath the surface. The majority of them
Wow.
have never done any personal development or coaching or counseling or therapy. So I've seen it time and time again with teachers from Cuba to China to the UK to Dubai. Whenever I take teachers through this program, they're learning mainly. They come on the program. Here's the thing, right? They come on the
Yeah.
program to learn how
Yeah.
to coach kids.
They end up getting.
That's the hook.
Yeah.
After about 2 sessions in, they start to realize this program is more beneficial for me, because they're having time for themselves to pause. They're reflecting on what's going on for their life, and they're going to show up. And I'm not making big changes. I'm not about big change. And you're probably like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's lots of tiny little changes, all right, that add up to a big change in what we do.
Well, I completely agree. I mean, just from my conversation with you, I've had multiple conversations within myself of, like how I would implement the acronym that you've created, which is CALM, okay? And I was, even as a teacher, I was kind of stuck in a rut because growing up in London, London's a busy city. Every school is crazily busy as well. And it was only when I changed my environment, I came out here to Qatar, that I was able to implement some real changes without a lot of the distractions that were around me. So you've got, I don't know, just having a different set of friends, different environment, different places to go to. It was like a hard reset. It was like, honestly, it was like going off planet. It's like going to another planet and trying to having a full hard reset where you're fully grown up, so you can now start from how did you originally start your day? Okay, it was all the same coffee cup, the same kitchen and everything, but now I'm in my own house, which is entirely different, a different country. I can start really experimenting with implementing change. So that's why there's sometimes I find that a change of environment can help, especially within this profession, because you can have a hard reset and you can create your ideal day. Obviously, that's only going to come from conversations within yourself. Your ideal day. You're going to manage your stress yourself, and then I found personally that it really helped. And when I go back to London now, it's with joy. There's no anxiety because I've dealt with all of that. I did some work myself internally as well as externally, and I could only do that by changing. I'm not making an advert for becoming an expat teacher, but I found it helped me to to have an honest conversation with myself.
I left the UK as well nearly 2 years ago, moved to Portugal. And yeah, I know you said you don't get anxious going back to London. I still get anxious going back to London because I find it. I live at the beach now, so I live in like, a tiny town of 10,000 people. I'm literally looking at the Atlantic Ocean right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's no part of that that's like, look at me. It's I'm sharing this lesson because we go back to the start of the podcast. 2012, collapsing on the floor with Crohn's, not being able to follow my dream. 2018, leave the classroom. 6 years later, I live here. I train teachers internationally, and I've created the word creation my life.
I saw this talk very akin to what you said. It's about Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he says, "Don't." He says, "Say no to the naysayers." Okay, he goes, "You try, and if you." And I watched a speech today by Denzel Washington. He says, "Don't fall back, fall forward. Try things out. And if you're gonna fail, but you're gonna keep on trying." And I said to my students, I say, "Look, guys, I tried things out, and it worked." So a couple of years ago, I was fascinated by this mobile game I was playing. I was like, this can't be that hard. And I really wanted to do something that I'd never done before. So I contacted a programmer and we started making this mobile game. And within about 5 months, it was done. And we put it on the App Store and the kids were downloading. In fact, my class that I teach, they were the first beta testers. And they're like, "Sir, it's so cool." I'm like, "But look, I don't want you to say it's cool. I want you to say, if Sir's able to do something completely different from teaching, as well as teaching at the same time, why can't we do that?" And I put the screenshots up on my wall, and it's up there. Okay, and they're really fascinated by that. A year later, I thought, let me try something new, another source of income. So I launched a line of hoodies. Okay, and it's all an Instagram shop, and I ran it from my phone. People could order what design they wanted, click on it. I had a delivery guy. You pay him like about small fee to deliver the hoodies, and now it's another income. I said, guys, look, I wanted to understand that, like you said, you're not just a teacher. You are, whatever your limits are, you decide what they are. Okay, there's some things that you can't do. I can't fix cars, okay? But what I could do was, I'm terrible at that. But what I could do is I launched an app, I launched a line of hoodies. Now we've got baseball caps, we've got part 2 of the game coming out. And I showed the kids, guys, look, it's a screenshot. It's called part 2, Kickoff Crisis 2, School's Out. And it's where the aliens have attacked and you got to kill the aliens with football. The kids are really, really enjoying it. So I say I don't want you guys to look at. I can give you an idea of Steve Jobs, but no, your own English teacher has ventured out and tried new things while teaching you at the same time. And as if I can do that, you can do that too. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. You should have multiple baskets.
When we're teaching as well, it's showing that example, and that's a really great role model that you're bringing there, because I think the world is a different place now. It's like a lot of people, although teaching is a career and a lot of people just have that career. I like when you're seeing people diversify, and people that do like learn to coach with me,
Yeah.
they'll
Yeah.
maybe drop down one day and they'll maybe, or just teach the 3 or 4 days and then make up the extra day through paid coaching work. And just again, having that day is creating freedom for them.
When I talk like you, they listen because I'm telling them real genuine life advice. And
Yeah, being an inspiration, man. So I really appreciate that. I think we've got to keep showing our young people that anything is possible, and that's the exciting thing with this world. Like, you can do anything, you can go anywhere.
for them, the world is exciting. Imagine if we were coming into this world that exists now when we were kids. Imagine what things we'd be able to do.
The best result a teacher can get is, what's that student gone on to do, and have they superseded or even expanded? And we never know the impact we can make, right? A little ripple effect in teaching. That one comment, that one bit of support, that one bit of guidance can really transform a life. And never forget that, the power of teaching and the great things you can help people create.
My last question to you was, we can't change education, but what kind of changes could teachers implement to try and make those students world ready, as it were?
Using stuff like coaching tools and exercises to really connect with what's going on internally will help people show up better in the classroom, but also better for the teachers who are actually educating. So it's a symbiotic relationship. When I'm training teachers, they're learning how to level up themselves. They're also learning how to better support the kids, and giving students these tools and strategies from a young age means that what's achieved is my favorite quote, which is, it's easier to build strong children than to repair broken adults.
I completely agree. I think teachers do need to spend some time, in essence, becoming coaches. That's the world that we live in. And if we're not, yes, we can become excellent teachers of our subject, but we do have to also become coaches, because if we're not, we are the adult in front of them for a large portion of the day. And if we're not giving them that, coaching service in essence, then the only other option they are going to do is turn to their phone and say, right, well, maybe the phone can teach me, because no adult in front of me is coaching me on life. And I'm not being offered this in any way, so they've got no other choice. So like you said, teachers have to kind of upskill in a way, isn't it, to become coaches, because that's part of the job now. Whether it comes as part of the territory, and it always has.
I totally agree. I think this is the way we're going. I think more teachers need to know these skills. I think it's going to transform the culture of these organizations, but we'll keep more teachers in the profession. They'll boost resiliency, and young people will feel way more supported. And those problems that we see, and students having long waiting lists for counseling and things like that, more teachers can learn this stuff, then those problems will be alleviated down the road.
That's really really fantastic, because I want to end on this point, which is that it goes back to what you said at the beginning. Teachers never came into the profession to make money, but they did come in to make and see change. And if you are becoming a coach and you are able to course correct and course direct your students, and you see positive change, then that gives you value, and not just the grades that come out and, oh well, my students achieve these grades. No, I helped course correct, I helped coach these students, and they're now on these amazing paths for their life, and I was a part of that, and that's value added.
The more we can help support the mental health of our and well-being of our students and teachers together, then we're going to have an education system that's flourishing, not crumbling.
That's amazing. I've had such an amazing time talking to you, Sam, and I really value. I always say this, but I really, really valued your time. I know that, this is part of your job. This is your service. I really appreciate the time you've given me. I felt that I was part of a coaching session too. I felt I was coached, so I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much. I hope anyone listening to this afterwards can benefit from it. But thanks for your time, Sam.
I really enjoyed it. Take care.